Hey everyone. For the last year, I've been on this productivity kick where I've read all of these books on productivity and sort of got obsessed with the productivity aspect in my own creative process. And today what I wanted to do is share basically all of these books come down to one idea. And I wanted to share this one idea for you. This one idea I think could be very potent for you, whether you're a classical musician, a writer, a visual artist, whatever it is that you do. I think this applies to sort of anyone that's in the creative arts. So this one potent idea is this: you have to find your sacred time every day, your creative time, and protect it with all possibilities. So let me explain. Everyone has a different kind of sort of circadian rhythm to their day. You'll notice that there are certain times of the day where your brain is much more attentive to what you're doing. And we all have a different rhythm. And for me, it actually is first thing in the morning. So my sacred time that I work on creative things, I'm a classical pianist, so when I practice music, is exactly 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I noticed that that's the time where I'm most engaged and I'm most aware and my brain is most elastic. So what does that mean? It means that during that time, everything else turns off. My computer is off, my cell phone is off, everything is off, and so the only thing that I'm focusing on is the piano. But if you're a writer, of course, you would be focusing on your writing, etc., etc. For me, it's that piano. And the thing is, when you have this sacred time, for me it's 2 hours, you'll notice that it really sets up the rest of the day. So I'll call this sacred time, this 2-hour practicing chunk. Let's say I'm putting input into my life, so that the rest of the day I can take from that input and create outputs. So for me as a professor, the rest of the day is filled with teaching either classes or individual students to play piano better. And I noticed that when I start the day with this input, when I'm putting things inside creatively, I'm able to give out more interesting ideas because I've already put some stuff in. So the idea of input and output is very, very important. The other part of this process is another very simple idea, but after you have this chunk of creative hour or 2 hours, you need to then take a break. And this is also important because it allows your brain to sort of digest what you just learned. And by taking a break, I don't mean checking your phone for updates on Instagram. I mean actually taking a break, going out for a walk outside, treating yourself to a coffee, and just thinking about what you just learned, okay? That's also part of the process. So then once you've found this creative time where you're most engaged, then you need to do it over and over and over again. It's often said that if you can stick to an idea for 21 days in a row, it will become a habit. And the idea is after you do it relentlessly for a number of days, for me it's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every day. After you do that, it will become a habit and the creative process will be much easier for you because you know that you're going to be in your office or your creative space from that time and everything else is protected. So there's this idea of accumulation that happens where if you take a simple habit and you then unfold over a long period of time, it accrues energy and it accrues sort of its strength. And the only way that it can really accrue that strength is by the repetition of every day that happening. This 2-hour creative chunk, or whatever it is, this sacred time that you have every day, it's a simple idea, of course, but we all know that it's hard to protect that time for one main reason. It's because of these smartphones in our pockets. We have access to the world's information like no one else has in the history of humanity. But the flip side of that is that it's a huge distraction. The flip side of that is that whenever you enter Facebook or Instagram or any other app, there is an algorithm that is tracing what you're doing, and they know what you like, and of course they're going to try to feed you more of that. So that's a huge distraction. And what that means for creative artists is that needs to be shut off from time to time. I think some artists or some creatives might think that all these apps are great because it gives you all of this input, right? But actually it's not, because you're not controlling that input. The algorithm is controlling that input. So you're sort of a passive user of this technology. You have to be an active user of this technology, and instead of just having it pass over you like some kind of shower every day of new information. So if you're able to create this habit of undistracted time every day and stick to it, you'll see these huge changes in your own creative practice. And through time, it can become very potent. I want to take a kind of note from Hemingway. Hemingway would work all day on his new books and new articles, and he would always, at the end of the day, before he was about to finish, he would always sort of create a door for his work to continue. And so he would write enough where he knew exactly where he was going to go the next day, so that when he came back and started writing, he didn't have to restart. He had an idea from the previous day. And Hemingway, of course, is one of the great writers, and we all can learn a lot from him. But what does that mean for our own creative process? Well, it's this. The other aspect of this, of finding that creative time every day, taking breaks, letting your brain digest it. The third part of this is that you need to create a door for the next day. So all that means is taking, at the end of the day, writing down 5 sentences of how you did that day in an honest way. How did your creative work go that day? And what are 2 things that you want to do the next day? And they can be very detailed, like, as a classical pianist, okay, this cadenza, I'm working on this cadenza. It's good, but I noticed that here I'm losing clarity. Well, I write that down for the next day. That's exactly where I'm gonna start. So like Hemingway, I've opened up a door for what I would do that next day. And then if this is repeated through time, then I think, as we could say, you're off to the races. Anyway, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this channel. I'd love to be able to share more content with you all. All the books that I've been reading, I'm also going to put them in the comments section, so check them out. Hopefully they might be inspirational for you too. Let me know in the comments section what are some books or some interesting things that have been inspiring to you in your own creative process. I'd love to hear from you. The other thing I would say is that I have started a monthly newsletter, and if it's totally free to subscribe, the link will be in the description as well. So anyway, look forward to seeing you in the next one. Be well and stay creative.